So how to use incremental attribution inside Meta ads for high ROAS, but also for more incremental, obviously, conversions to your business, and mostly and more connected to your Shopify numbers and your revenue numbers rather than obviously Meta over reporting. Now, what is incremental attribution, and do you even need to use it? This is going to be another question for a few of you. And incremental attribution is a relatively new setting inside Meta. I think it has been over the last few months, potentially like 10 months. And it's, in theory, it says what it does, which is basically optimize delivery for incremental conversions using models that predict whether a conversion goes by an ad. Essentially, it tries to solve a very huge issue with Meta obviously not being that accurate in terms of tracking, but also in terms of reporting and attribution, and then optimization from an ad set to campaign level to an ad account level. It tries to obviously close that gap between what's being reported or maybe over-reported and what's actually the real truth on Shopify or on your backend, on your leads, on your volume, on your purchases. And this is super, super key. And obviously it has some studies says like it can improve by 23% roughly, which again is questionable. I tend to believe that there's going to be definitely an impact, but let's see how to use it and some very interesting data points from diving into accounts live at the moment. So let's look at an example here. This is an ad account that has spent over the last 30 days around 2.6 million. It's a very large ad account, but a very low AOV, high impulse buy kind of product as well. So we can see different occasions. This is optimizing for 7-day click, 1-day view. And what we can see here, when you're using the breakdown between incremental and 7-day click, you can easily do this if you go to breakdowns, you go and compare attribution settings and then click your relevant attribution settings that you want to compare. We'll see that this is actually quite close. And to be honest, when using 7-day click is actually almost identical, which to me signals that 7-day click potentially is going to be the way to go here. And there's a lot of, there's some view through activity coming in from the 7-day click, 1-day view. We can obviously see this here. We have this amount of conversions coming from view through. And the other interesting thing here, so the first thing that this tells me is I need to take a look at and review whether I still want to use view through conversions and if they are significant over-reporting. Obviously by this, I don't think there's significantly over-report, but there is some decent over-reporting happening. And obviously at scale, this can be huge as well. And the other more interesting thing here is when you dive deeper on each of the campaigns, you can also see things and review how you can troubleshoot and what's really happening. So you can see some campaigns, things are very, very even. But when you jump into a campaign like this, for example, you see 4x and then you see 2 from incremental. So it's like almost half. Here, for example, you can see the same. Again, for the most part, it is pretty good. But for example, this one as well, there's a lot of view through conversions coming here. So we need to review this and see why do I potentially don't run any exclusions? Is there any issues with the creatives themselves? Potentially the ad sets. There's a lot of middle of funnel and bottom funnel retargeting as well here. So we need to really see what's happening in terms of that point of view. So that obviously you can see how my thought process, those are very useful things to have a look at to obviously have that incrementality. But obviously that doesn't tell us anything whether you should run incremental attribution on a kind of ad set level. But you have a setting even if you don't run it at all. So I'm not using a thing, or maybe I am testing this now on a few ad sets. But you have a setting whether you are testing the incremental attribution feature on an ad set level or not. So very useful reporting. Let's actually dive into another example. I'm gonna go through the whole process here. This is a 7-day click, 1-day view account. Again, this is a small account. I think it kind of spends around 300K per month. And this is a specific ad set that I obviously isolated. And you can see here, again, we can see here is something that is concerning. We can see 3.2 reported on Meta. And actually incremental attribution is at 1.69. So this is almost 50% difference here. So that tells me that there's something really goes wrong with how Meta optimizes. And if I jump into this account, is on a blended level across all campaigns of the last 30 days, you can see some very, very significant findings and kind of changes here. More than 55% of the conversions are coming from view-through conversions, which essentially means we're not really being incremental here. We're not really trying to push net new reach, essentially. And this is alarming. And you can see, like, even I don't have a CPA, but if I do have a CPA on the other screens, you will see it's like double the CPA essentially. So this is, yeah, I mean, you can see it here. It's like 63 here, and then it's actually like 100. It's almost like doubled here. So again, it's something alarming here, and that tells me like the things are not really incremental as they are. And I need to review obviously what's happening. You can see here there's a lot of view-through conversions, a lot of quick wins that we can do. Start getting into the 7-day click optimization, or at least 7-day click, 1-day engage view. But also from my end, I'm just really having a better picture in terms of like what's happening over the last 30 days from a, new visitor percentage, new customer growth, and overall is Meta really getting in front of new eyeballs. So super interesting finding and something to really, really play out. Now let's see 7-day click example now. Again, obviously this doesn't mean that in every time, even if it's 7-day click, that things will be very accurate. As you can see here, there's still some discrepancy, but it's like very, very small. The difference is like 1.2 to 1.10. So things are quite accurate here. And have another view here of 1-day click, which you can see incremental just sits somewhere in the middle of these two. Now, in general, I don't like 1-day click. I feel like it really limited kind of data set a lot. And as you obviously optimize at scale, there's going to be a significant less pool of people that are going to be purchasing within 1 day of clicking an ad. So we want to have a 7-day click. Again, I guess it also depends on your time to purchase, but again, something useful to also know here. But you can see on a 7-day click, things are much more incremental. Obviously, I've done a different video for which one is the best attribution setting, which you can see here. Obviously, you probably guess it is 7-day click, but there are also some ones that it will be good for you to kind of check out, because there are obviously ways and reasons to use 7-day click 1-day view, and it should be for some businesses. Now, what that tells exactly, like, obviously I'm running conclusive data. I'm running tests here to have more conclusive data around whether optimizing on an incremental attribution compared to the standard is better. My gut feeling, and based on what I'm seeing from the data so far, is that obviously if you're a larger ad account, spending quite a bit of money, obviously make sure you first check it on a 7-day click 1-day view, make sure we are optimizing for the most current conversions. But then it is a time to start testing the incremental attribution on those ad sets or maybe a few ad sets. But also we need to start, I need to obviously test it a bit more to have conclusive data, which I'm also going to be reporting back on this channel. But my gut feeling is that it will have incremental improvements, but also across all the campaigns as well. So something to really, really keep a close eye on it from my end to just see whether that actually is the case. And obviously I'm gonna report back here. But I would say if you're a new brand, I don't think you need to obviously test incremental. And obviously by new I mean potentially even like 6 figures, maybe even low 7 figures. And the best exercise here is to do that breakdown view with incremental attribution. But if you are on the 7-figure, obviously you start reaching the 8-figure potentially, or maybe just higher scale and you just want to test incremental, or maybe you have high purchase volume, low AOV, you obviously have a lot of data, I would test incremental attribution on Meta. But yeah, that was it for today. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope that was valuable. I really appreciate you taking the time and watching this video, and I hope that obviously helped you a bit. If you want more resource from me, completely free, click the link below in the description. And also there's also options to work with me directly one-to-one, to consult and coach you, to obviously run your ads to themselves and can really scale your business. Thanks so much for watching this. Really appreciate the time. Bye-bye.